Hello and welcome to our millions of viewers here in Nigeria, the continent, and all around the world. This is Lunchtime Politics, where we unpack and dissect some of the biggest stories and happenings of the day. Let's get to check out our radar this hour. President Soludo set to meet with President Trump to discuss allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria. Plus on the program, Anambra State's Governor Professor Soludo believes insecurity challenges in Nigeria are not faced by a single religion and should be tackled holistically. Lunchtime Politics starts right now. Many thanks indeed for joining us on the program, everyone. Wherever you're watching from around the world, we're live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria. I'm Kelly Egiga. If you've been following developments over the weekend, then a flurry of reactions which has trailed President Donald Trump's threat to send U.S. forces into Nigeria with guns blazing should be of concern to you and I. And the president of the U.S. says if Africa's most populous nation fails to stop what he describes as the killing of Christians by Islamist militants. And responding to these comments, President Bola Tinubu has dismissed the U.S. leader's claim of a mass slaughter of Christians here in Nigeria, insisting that portraying the country as religiously intolerant does not reflect the reality on ground. Further clarifying the government's stance, the special advisor to the president on policy communication, Mr. Daniel Gwala, said in a statement posted on his X handle that President Tinubu will soon meet with U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump to discuss allegations of Christian genocide in Nigeria. According to Gwala, the planned meeting will focus on counter-terrorism cooperation and address misconceptions about the nature of terrorist attacks in Nigeria. President Trump has insisted that Nigeria has assisted Nigeria a lot by authorizing the sale of arms, and President Tinubu has utilized that opportunity effectively in the fight against terrorism with massive results to show for it, according to the special advisor. All right. Let's bring you more updates now and more reactions. As this time around, the governor of Anambra State, Governor Soludo, believes the recent threat by the U.S. President, Mr. Donald Trump, should not be anything to worry about, as it will end in a peaceful conversation under international law. Speaking during a media chat in Awka, the Anambra State capital, the governor, Professor Soludo, believes that the challenge is wider than religious connotations. But let's take a listen to Governor Soludo.
This conversation about banditry and killings and so on requires deeper national conversation and introspection. In this part of the world, Eastern Bloc, where 90-something% Christians, and the insurgents that were first here and around the southeast, it's Christians and Christians. It's the people in the bushes and so on, killing, kidnapping others. They are called Christians, some bear the name Christian, Emmanuel, Peter, James, John, and so on and so forth. So it's much wider than this categorization of, Christian, Muslim.
All right, so there you go, the governor of Anambra State, Professor Soludo. Let's get to unpack all of this hour. We're joined by a legal practitioner, Mr. Kayode Akishola, who is also the acting Dean, Chrisland Law School. He joins us virtually. Thank you indeed for agreeing to talk to us this hour. Perhaps we should begin with the exact words of the president of the U.S. I'm not sure what exactly you make of this comments, very strong comments by the U.S. president, and perhaps we should begin from there. And let me just read it for our viewers to have an understanding. It says, if the Nigerian government, according to Mr. Trump, continues to allow the killing of Christians, the U.S. will immediately stop all, will stop all aid and assistance to Nigeria, and may very well go into that now disgraced country. And of course, he goes ahead to use some other unprintable words. Barrister, perhaps as a Nigerian, I wonder how you weigh in on this, the fact that these are really very strong words from the U.S. president to use to describe another sovereign nation.
So much, Kelly. I want to feel that the statement credited to President Donald Trump is uncharitable, is unprecedented, and you cannot typify such as such that is actually worthy of diplomacy within an international confinement. Regrettably, however, we've had instances where President Trump will come into facing camera, talking to the press, calling Nigeria asshole, calling African different types of name, as it were. To an extent, I feel like our politicians, they are not really doing us favor. When you look at a handful number of things that they do when they are running their campaigns, you will recall sometimes in 2013 and 2014, the APC, as they were then, being members of opposition, it was during the era of President Goodluck Jonathan. You will observe that some of them, they heighten, while doing their campaign, they heighten the level of insecurity in Nigeria such that there is no how that you go on social media, you want to read anything, it's as if the entire Nigeria is collapsed as a result of insecurity. They forged ahead, Senator Tinubu then, as it was then, as a lead member of the opposition. They dropped a petition to the United States of America through their embassies. And when you look at the aftermath of it, and when the APC as a political party, when they wanted to come with their candidates, the choice of their candidature, both the president as well as the vice presidents, they are both Muslims. We had it last when the late MQ Abiola wanted to contest, when we had King Ibe. Nigeria, for who we are, we tend to understand and alive when it comes to religious sentiments. We are highly sentimental. And for Mr. Trump to be coming, telling Nigeria, making some such unfounded statements is something that every Nigerian should rise up to actually come against. Yes, we could have our challenges. We are not perfect as a nation, including Mr. President also, who I was told or I learned will be meeting with the vice president tomorrow. We can have our lapses. That shouldn't be that a nation will be labeled negatively the way the president of the United States of America has actually done. I'm a Christian. As a matter of fact, I'm a pastor. But to an extent, I want to believe that what President Tinubu is currently doing in the area of insecurity, it will still take us to where we are going. As a president, he's not a religious bigot. For him to have got married to a pastor in Redeemed Christian Church, Redeemed Christian Church of God, you will discover that when it comes to religion, the pattern in which some people are taking it is quite different. This is not to say we are not having insecurity in Nigeria. Okay.
Yes. I'll get to engage you a bit more around issues around international laws, because for me, if I do a breakdown of what has played out, there's the security aspect of this confrontation, there's the diplomatic aspect of international relations, and then, of course, international laws. We'll come to that in just a moment. But because you've mentioned the meeting with J.D. Vance tomorrow, the feeders we are getting from the presidency, one of his aides, Temitope Ajayi, is that Mr. President Bola Tinubu, will not be heading to the U.S. That's developing and breaking story this hour, that the president will not be going to the U.S. to go meet with Vice President J.D. Vance. In fact, the SSA has said, the Senior Special Assistant Advisor to the President has said that if the President is going to go to the U.S., then he's going to go there to meet with the U.S. President, Mr. Donald Trump. But having said that, let me also ask you, do you think that there's some sort of political undertone to all of this? The fact that we have we're only counting down to the 2027 elections. Do you think perhaps there's some sort of undertone and interest somewhere from the government of the U.S. as well?
Now, truth be told, there is no nation that you see United States of America showing interest like this without them having one interest, either political or economy, as it were. The most important that at this moment is that we must ensure that we should not allow the politician, either in the United States or in Nigeria, to circumvent the overall interest of the entire populace. No doubt about that, the former president of the United States of America allegedly supported the current government that we have in Nigeria. And to an extent, everybody knows, who Trump is. But they shouldn't use all this political, discussion or narrative to affect the well-being of Nigerians. And when you talk about international laws, we are a sovereign nation. Nigeria is susceptible. When you talk about Committee of Countries in Africa, we are the most populous African country. If anything happens to Nigeria, Africa is gone. So within the balance of law, Mr. President of the United States of America has no right, has no power, prerogative to be calling for war or gun raising on the Federal Republic of Nigeria. It's not within any extant law. And I think Mr. President, as well as the presidency, they should take the bull by the horn. It's becoming an insult when a Nigerian shows up in any airport of the world. We are called by various names. We have the very best of brains wherever you see us globally. Hardly will you see any Nigeria that will go to any country and they won't thrive well. But our politicians, the manner in which they are handling the leadership prowess in this nation is actually nosediving. The media fireworks that the APC used when they want to come into power is actually playing back. And for crying out loud, how to lower the tempo of their campaign. For an extent, and within the principles of law, I'm of the view that what Mr. President is doing in tackling the security to an extent is commendable. Insecurity has always been there in the northern part of Nigeria, particularly, the Borno, the one we had in May and June this year. Some of those things are actually gory when you look at it.
All right. Let's take a moment. When we come back, we'll continue this conversation with you, Barrister Akishola, because there are many arguments surrounding this whole narrative, from both presidencies, from the U.S. and us here in Nigeria. But back in just a moment as we continue this conversation. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program, everyone. We're discussing these claims and allegations of a Christian genocide here in Nigeria. But let's get to tell you this hour that we have breaking news for you. Heavy security presence, we understand, you see on your screen at the national headquarters of the PDP, that's the People's Democratic Party, as the former vice chairman, PDP North Central, Mr. Abdurrahman Mohammed, resumes as the party's acting national chairman in the nation's capital. Mr. Mohammed and his supporters had earlier gathered at the FCT office of the PDP, where he addressed them that he will be taking over as the acting national chairman. Mr. Abdurrahman was declared acting national chairman of the PDP by the Samuel Anyanwu-led National Working Committee after it announced the suspension of the party's national chairman, Umar Damagun, and the national Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba. Recall that the national chairman of the PDP, Umar Damagun, and some members of the National Working Committee announced the suspension of the national secretary of the PDP, Mr. Anyanwu, the national organizing secretary, Mr. Umar Bature, and other principal officers of the party. In a swift reaction, Mr. Anyanwu led another faction of the PDP National Working Committee to suspend the national chairman, Umar Damagun, the national publicity secretary, and 4 other principal officers of the party. And while the Samuel Anyanwu-led acting national chairman resumed at the national headquarters of the PDP, Mr. Damagun and members of the National Working Committee loyal to him were obviously not inside Mr. Abdurrahman Mohammed, the Samuel Anyanwu-led acting national chairman, addressed journalists in the office of the PDP national chairman. So that's our breaking news this hour. This is happening right now in the nation's capital, Abuja, at the presence of the national headquarters of the People's Democratic Party, as the former vice chairman, PDP North Central, Mr. Abdurrahman Mohammed, has resumed as the party's acting national chairman of the party. All right, so that's our breaking story this hour. We'll bring you up to speed with more updates and development as they're coming. But let's head back now to our conversation with legal practitioner Barrister Kayode Akishola, Dean Chrisland Law School as well, who is with us on the program. Thank you so much, Barrister Akishola, for standing by on the program. So there are many arguments here, Barrister. Some say the claims of a Christian genocide are false and simplistic. Others say it is a dangerous far-right narrative that has been simmering for a long time that President Trump is perhaps amplifying now. On the flip side of things, there are those who are excited by Mr. Trump's proposal and possible intervention for those who perhaps stay in the north. That's the narrative we are hearing. But the reality is that insurgent groups such as Boko Haram and Islamic States West Africa often present their campaigns as anti-Christian, but in practice, their violence, we hear and understand, are indiscriminate and devastates entire communities. So I wonder which side of the divide you belong to.
If you ask me, I am on the divide of the Christians. And I must say this because of my faith. So my opinion is not going to be expressly legal this time around. We have a tripartite interest here. President Trump, as the president of the United States of America, has his own interest. United States, as it is, they have their own interest. When you talk about the Christian crop, in Nigeria, or Nigerian Christians, or crop of them having challenges, or for them having some complaints, the reason is not far-fetched. The reason is actually dated back to the era when the ruling party, they were actually fielding a Muslim ticket. We all knew that there's going to be an uproar either from left or from the right. Again, when you go to Kaduna, as a state, for example, you have Kaduna South and Kaduna North. We have had the occurrences of Northern Kaduna belonging to the northern elements who are Muslims that are resident there, while Kaduna South are Christians. Right. We've been having that over the years.
Yes. So
go to Borno, we've been having the issue of Boko Haram here and there.
So you
can't say that we do not have the imbroglio around the religious sentiments, which have actually cascaded.
Yes, Barrister, do you think that, so with these weights, do you think there's some sort of pressure on President Bola Tinubu, who of course obviously will be seeking a re-election? Do you think there's some sort of weights and pressure for him not to field candidates, from the same faith as his?
Now, I'm actually considering that, and the way I look at it, Mr. President, I'm not speaking for presidents. I'm not holding their brief. I think it might be a very good consideration if a Christian is looked into during the build-up into the next election. When you look at the total number of Christians that you have in Nigeria, the faith is, has a very huge chunk of population. And I feel that Mr. President by now should feel very pressure to consider the yearnings. An attempt not to consider that yearning might end up having one interest or the other being coming up. And you see the United States begin to shout here and there. But I see Mr. President being rattled and being pressured to have a vice president who will be a Christian come 2027.
All right. So, the U.S. is the largest foreign investor in Nigeria. That's our largest, perhaps, ally in terms of investments. We have foreign investments in petroleum and mining and all of that. In fact, in 2022, I think I saw reports where we had direct investments to the tune of about $8.1 billion or thereabout. So Do you think perhaps these new alignments with countries such as China, Nigeria belonging to BRICS, perhaps, is also perhaps why there's this power play and tussle? Do you think that maybe there's that undertone as well regarding international politics, why we could be facing this
I actually gave an opinion
from
when
the US?
we were given. Okay, I actually gave an opinion when we were given the vantage position to BRICS, observers' role to BRICS, and my opinion or my suggestion to the presidency during this time is that Nigeria should stay neutral. Anything that will have anything to do with BRICS, alignment with the Western world, we have to stay neutral, and the world must understand our position. We must not start a war that we cannot end. When it comes to apparatus, when it comes to well-being of our people, I do not think Nigeria as a nation has what it takes to face some of those people. There is a common saying, an adage, that if you want to eat with the devil, you have to have a long spoon. I do not think we have that in our hands before we begin to discuss at that level. Either we want to be, as an observer in BRICS, or we want to join the West to take whatever. We all knew what happened in Libya. We knew what is currently going on in Ukraine. Nigerians, we are.
I'm told that we have to take yet another commercial break. When we come back, we'll get to have your closing thoughts on the program. We're back in just a moment. Please stay with us. Welcome back to the program, everyone. It's the final moments here on Lunchtime Politics. Barrister Kayode Akinsola is with us. He's the acting Dean, Chrisland Law School. Barrister, we have to round off our conversation with you now. But just in case President Bola Tinubu has the opportunity to meet with U.S. President Mr. Donald Trump, I wonder perhaps what words you have for President Bola Tinubu, because when you see the antecedents of President Donald Trump, how he has handled meetings with President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, meetings with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, meetings with the 5 leaders from Africa, East Africa, some months back, and how he humiliated, ridiculed, and practically bullied these leaders. What's your counsel to Mr. President?
Now, should Mr. President intends to meet with the Donald Trump of the United States of America, I do not expect him to go with the charade of the politicians that usually go with anytime they're having international conversations. This is not the time to say this person is a member of my political party. Mr. President needs to look for the very best of hands, particularly people who are not political, who understand the tenets and the template through which they tend to engage international conversations. This is not the very best time for them to be political, because the lives, the properties, the unity, as well as the well-being of Nigeria is actually been entrusted in his hand. And as such, we should do less of politics. The international conversation should be a such that will be above board. I do not see the Donald Trump humiliating our president. You can be rest assured. Our leaders, we can have reservations about them. We love them. And Mr. President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is someone that we love. We voted in. And anytime, any day, whether rightly or wrongly, we are Nigerians. And we have to stand up and call Nigeria a good name. We have to call our president a good name. We have to stand by him, and we go extra length to make sure that Nigerians, we are one.
All right. Well, we have to leave it here indeed, but the reality on ground is that Nigeria has seen a resurgence of homegrown Islamic militant Boko Haram group attacks, and that has been confirmed by some of our reporting as well. But we hope and watch and see this space, how these diplomatic engagements will go, perhaps.
Just before I go, please.
With our president.
I work for, yes, I'm the acting the College of Law, Chrisland University.
Oh, College of Law, Chrisland University. All right, thank you so much. As always, legal practitioner, Barrister Kayode Akinsola, thank you for your time on the program.
Thank you for having me.
And with that interview, we conclude the program this hour. Thanks indeed for watching. On behalf of the production team and everyone here, I am Kelly Egiga, and you have just been served on Lunchtime Politics. Good afternoon.